we'll go on the Fine East, eh?
Fine East.
Hang on, Ray.
David Barnes's responsibilities as Westport's harbour master cover vessels small and large.
The cement ships, they are very big vessels for the size of the harbour, and we're trying to load them as deeply as we possibly can and still get them across the bar. So we have a very large value hydrographic package which we use to sound the bar, but before the vessels come in, I will go to the tip head and look at the situation on the bar, and the master will look at what he sees from his side, and we'll discuss the conditions and the route that the master's going to take in. We'll check the tide to see that we've got sufficient under keel clearance, and that there is no set or anything else that's going to push the vessel off course, and that's the procedure that we adopt.
The Westport entrance, seen on a sunny day from the bridge of a large vessel, looks rather different from the view that a small fishing boat gets when the weather's starting to turn nasty. But the basic problems facing any vessel entering or leaving a bar harbour are caused by the same things.
Each bar is different, but each bar is caused by littoral sand drift coming across the entrance, and the harbour, like Westport, has breakwaters designed to focus the river flow to try and cut a channel through that sand.
Westport and Greymouth's bars are the product of the coast's famous rainfalls causing erosion on the west-facing slopes of the Southern Alps. Short but often sensationally fast-flowing rivers like the Haast, the Arahura and the Taramako carry debris from high up in the Alps out to sea. Assisted by the scourings of the Fox and Franz Josef glaciers. The prevailing ocean current sweeps the shingle away from the river mouths up the coast, finally pushing it around the northern tip of the South Island, constantly enlarging Farewell Spit. In some conditions, off the mouth of the Grey River, the material settles for a while, forming a single submerged bar, usually fairly close in, before the current moves the excess material further north. At the mouth of the Buller River, the coast has turned east, and it's protected by Cape Foulwind. Here, in a kind of back eddy, there are usually two bars, further out than at Greymouth, and constantly shifting. Clearly, the limited depth of water over the bars means that large vessels entering or leaving harbour must do so at or near to high tide. But the statistics show that small vessels do sometimes actually ground on the bars. And vessels, both large and small, are vulnerable to the power and complexity of the forces acting on the water. The run of the river varies hugely with rainfall, and so with the season and with the climate in the hills in any particular year. Swell is caused by three things: variations in strength of that northerly current, the state of the tide, and what the weather's been doing over the past few days further out to sea, especially wind speed and direction. So how high the swells are, how close together or how far apart they are, and where they're coming from, can vary hugely. Swell and river run combine to create set, which can vary considerably as one predominates over the other. Where salt and fresh water meet, there's a distinctive line, the set line, which gives a good indication of the strength of the set, and so of how much you'll be carried or pushed off course as you approach the harbour entrance, although this will vary to some extent too on the design of your vessel and how it handles. There are so many variables that it's impossible to come up with hard and fast rules for what effect the water's going to have when you're crossing the bar. But there is a national code of practice for bar crossings. This provides clear guidelines regarding safe and prudent practice when attempting to cross any bar or river entrance. It gathers the accumulated wisdom of all parties involved, and its provisions boil down to one very simple idea: that every crossing should be treated with the utmost respect for what the sea can do, like pick up many tons of boat and fish and play with it.
Yeah, what a beauty! Look at it! Right.
But to make things even more complicated, there's the fact that bar harbours differ from each other because of the shape of the coastline around them and the characteristics of the river feeding them.
The Buller River has the largest catchment area in New Zealand, and the Buller River is the largest flood volume river in New Zealand. If there is any movement in the river, then that too will add to the conditions on the bar, particularly on the outgoing tide, and as much as an hour and a half before high water, the river will overcome any tidal influence, and you have the waves standing up very short and steeply against the incoming swells, and it makes it very dangerous indeed. If there is a swell, it depends on the length of the swell. The longer the period of swell, that's the amount of time between the swells, the greater they will refract into Buller Bay. Then they come over the sandbars, put a high pressure of water up on the beach, and that high pressure water then comes sideways, and of course it goes straight across the entrance. But as the swells come across the sandbars, they break, then they sweep up the beach, and each bit of breaking entraps more and more air in the water, and then of course that air comes down the beach and across the entrance of the harbour. And at that point of time, the stability of boats are severely affected, insidiously, because not a lot of people realise the effect of air in the water. But I mean, it's a well-known stability fact that boats are designed to float in water, not in air.
So, right in the entrance, the possibility of short, steep pressure waves and air bubbles that make your vessel behave in ways you might not expect. And don't forget further out, the bars themselves. They can shift position in just a few days.
Shifts 6 days worth of difference. Here we are on the 19th of October with the sand almost across the entrance. 6 days later, where we had 2.4 metres of water, we've now got 4.4 metres of water. And the river's just scooped the sand out, but it's moved it up here, and then we've dredged a channel through.
Put it all together, and what have you got? Well, the detail may be complicated, but the message is simple. From wherever the bars are shifting around under the surface, right into the tip heads themselves, can be the most dangerous, treacherous stretches of water you're ever likely to have to sail in your whole career. It may be as much as 1,000 meters or as little as 200. But when you're entering into a bar harbour, you and your vessel are at the most hazardous part of your voyage.